Hey there, Dream Chasers. This is Hannah Pride, and welcome to Pride and Shine, your podcast where we explore the influencers and innovators of Dubai. Proudly sponsored by Pride Migration, your partner in making your Dubai your reality. Welcome, Yasmine. How are we?
I'm good, babe. Thank you for having me.
More than welcome. I'm so excited to get you on the podcast.
I'm excited to be here. I'm a bit nervous. I'm just saying, this production is wild, but it's great.
No, it's great. It's great. Honestly, don't forget about it. We're absolutely fine. It's just a conversation.
I'll do my best.
But honestly, I want to tell everyone, because you were the first girl that I knew that was within the industry of e-commerce. So I want you to be able to tell us all about it, because I feel like it's such a male-dominated industry. Mm-hmm. You've brought it over to Dubai, you've grown this network, and let's chat about it.
So I think, yeah, exactly. E-commerce, I think it's seen to be a bit of a boys' club because
100%.
There are a lot of e-com bros on Twitter and I guess on Instagram to an extent, but it doesn't mean to say that the girls in the space aren't out there, which is what I thought before kind of expanding my network and looking for them. I kind of just thought that, are there any other girls like me doing this kind of work in the UK, in Dubai, wherever it is? And of course there always were, but I just didn't know who they were. I didn't know where to find them. And I've been in e-commerce for 8 years now.
Really? That long?
I've been in e-com for 8 years.
Wow.
And I've been in brand and product development for 10 years.
Crazy.
So I didn't go to uni. I was meant to go to Edinburgh to study English, which would have been an amazing thing to do, but just didn't ever feel quite right. Like I've always just wanted to work, which I know sounds really cliche, but like for me, having something to work towards every single day that was really motivating me, I think I always knew that was what I needed in my life. And going to study English at a university in Scotland, for me, was just not my fire.
100%.
Anyway, so I got into e-com, I got into supply chain, firstly. It was my first job out of school when I was like 19.
Wow.
And we were essentially creating products sourcing from China. So we had a whole team of Chinese manufacturers and factories creating fashion items, so footwear and clothing, for all of the high street retailers. So John Lewis, Next, The White Company, all the way down to like Tesco. I say down to Tesco, they were placing hundreds of thousands of units of orders every year. And so that's where I kind of cut my teeth on creating products. Like, I didn't even know before that you could literally have an idea of a product and just go and have it made.
It's crazy.
So I kind of fell in love with the idea of being able to just take something from conception to materialization, like the ability to create. So that was kind of my first foray into product and brand. And then I went to Australia for a year and I moved from fashion into beauty, and I worked for the Grain Alchemist in their product development team, fell in love with beauty. And so when I came back to the UK after that first year, I knew I didn't want to go and work for someone else. I don't know, I just kind of had this thing where I was like, I feel and I believe in being able to continue to create, whatever that is. I didn't know if it was a business or just another product or what. But I definitely knew I didn't want to go and work for someone in the city of London, and I just didn't want that for my life. Yeah. So I set up my first business, Elementary Brands. And what we did at Elementary was essentially create e-commerce businesses for influencers and celebrities, specifically in the beauty category. Right. We launched 9 D2C brands over the 5 years that the business was running. Wow. All specialising in beauty, from skincare to cosmetics. We had Middle Eastern clients, we had European clients, we had US clients, and UK clients, obviously. And so my favourite brand that we did was Midge Masks for Jama, and we would do everything from start to finish. So all the product creation, the formulation, testing, manufacturing, the warehousing, customer service. So like I really was submerged in the world of creating brands from scratch and just putting them out there into the world.
And would you go to China to like research them, get them developed? Like, where would you even get the brand? Where would you know to get a beauty product developed? Because for me, if we go back a bit, where you went into the supply chain, like, you got hands-on first experience, which I now, especially in this day and age, I think that's the best thing you can do after school. I think all the people that now go to university, although it's like the status quo, I think half the time, I was one of them, we studied business, and it was genuinely the same stuff that I learned within school, but just I needed to write more. I needed to write more intense answers to pass the exam. Whereas a lot of my friends were actually dentists and lawyers, they really benefited from uni. Me personally, it was generally a just drinking game. I would have been honestly much more beneficial to do the exact route you done. And for you to also go into supply chain, which 8 years ago, probably we didn't know too much about. We've only, I would say, really learned about supply chain within COVID times because of all the supply chain was broken up.
Yeah.
Now you've got this, genuinely, you've had hands-on experience in a niche that now so many people looked upon. But then how did you end up going from fashion, which I completely understand and interesting, you're saying everything came from China. Was it all the same factory, white company, to Tesco? Did they all come?
Yeah. They were all the same factory.
Yeah, it's crazy. Different price points.
Different price points and different qualities of fabrics, right? So there would be a difference in the product quality, because you'd have to hit certain target cost prices, so the retailers got their margins and that we got our margins when we're selling the goods on, but they were all made out of the same factory.
It's crazy.
Yeah, you could have a sheepskin I don't know, jacket from the same factory for Next or the white company as you could for Tesco, like a faux sheepskin. So that's where I really I suppose got to grips with how to break down a product to still create something that was efficacious, that looked good, that did good, that people wanted in a cost-effective way.
Of course. And honestly, that would have been the best experience ever, because we all know that happens, but you're the first person I've actually spoken to that can tell you firsthand, no, this actually happens.
100%.
So you've had the best experience for them to then go over to Australia, get into the beauty industry, which again, you hit that market completely the right time, because if that was 5 years ago you were telling me, that was when Kylie Cosmetics,
about 7 years ago.
7 years ago. So that must have been the same year as Kylie Cosmetics brought out the lip kit. Yeah,
she was our case study. She was our benchmark.
Really?
I mean, obviously you're going to try and shoot for the stars, but when we were looking at other talent in the market who were doing what we were trying to do, it was her every time. So I think when you're creating a brand, it's really important to identify the right type of talent to work with, but the supply chain, it is your product, and it doesn't matter how big your talent is that you're working with, or how impressive the face of the brand is, or the founder story is, whether it's an influencer or a normal person. If your product doesn't stand up to the expectations of the customer across the board, then it's not going to work. And I think people really underestimate the importance of getting your product right, because there's so many other bits to brand and e-commerce. You know, there's retail, and people get distracted by like, I want to be in Selfridges and Sephora, and you know, there's all the shiny lights and the glitz and the glam, but fundamentally you have to get the product right. You have to get your metrics right first as well, your costing and your numbers. And once those bits are watertight, then you can scale, and the retailers will come to you. So I think that's really important.
It's so interesting though. Like, that's stuff that I wouldn't even know. I would just be coming to you, like, there's so many times that we've had conversations about, oh, we should do this, or this product would work. But for you, you're obviously now a specialist because you've had the background. You now know the numbers, you now know the marketing, the branding. You've worked with these influencers like Maya Jama, you said. To have all that experience, you're now, I would say, probably one of the foremost people at the front that are leading the packs when bringing beauty industries and beauty products to the market. I would say now.
That's so nice for you to say. Thank you. I mean,
I think that's so
I don't
cool.
see myself as that naturally. Like, I think, you never really know how far you've come until you stop and look back. And
100%.
I spoke about this the other day, because for me, it's the way that I gain perspective. And I guess there's a bit of like an element of gratitude in there, and that's how it makes you feel better. But it's really important to do what you've just done, basically, and to kind of summarize your experience and your growth, because that is the progress.
100%.
Being able to look back on the numbers, and whether it's numbers or whether it's just other kinds of progression, being able to do that is really key. And I think in our culture, in our generation, this like hustle culture, we're always pushed to be looking forwards and just kind of keep going and just hustle, like always go in that direction. But actually, there's nothing wrong in just pausing and reviewing.
100%. And do you know what? I think now, within our day and age, we see so many young people doing Unreal, which I honestly am such an advocate for. It's amazing. It's the best you could ever see. There's more millionaires coming into our generation within their 20s and 30s than ever before, and it's because of this culture that we've created. However, can get so easily now lost in the comparable, lost in always look forward, this person's doing better. It's called imposter syndrome. That's what it is.
We know it well.
Oh no, genuinely. And I think every entrepreneur gets really caught up in it, because even though you can be like, wow, look how far I've came in 3 years, and you struggle with it, I definitely struggle with it, you've just said, but you just get caught up because everyone now is striving for the best. Everyone's in that straight line. We're getting access to so much more information, from TikToks to LinkedIn. You can see how good everyone's doing. Probably everyone doesn't showcase the ups and downs and in-betweens, and this is what the podcast is here for. But generally, it's completely right what you're saying. It can be hard to like reflect and be like, I'm hearing your story, I'm like, wow. And you've probably just been like, I've not even realised, but just from that
100%.
3-minute conversation, I'm like, Jesus, you've actually done so much more than I even knew from surface level, which is crazy.
And then just to voice, because I'm not sitting in conversations saying, having these conversations like, oh, I've done this and I've done this. You just don't do that in in normal life. So actually to sit down and just put that, I guess, review process out into the world and hear yourself talking about what you've done. Just hearing myself be like, I've done this and this. And there's something really rewarding about that. And I just don't think we do it enough.
No, not at all.
But the other thing I want to point on what you've just mentioned, actually, which I think when you become more and more successful, you kind of attract successful people and you seek out successful people to be within your network. That's like 100%. Rule 101 of how to be successful is surround yourself with more people who are more successful than you. That's a blessing and a curse, because it's a blessing as it drives you, it motivates you, it pushes you to reach to your full potential, and it also allows you to see what's possible. But it's a curse because you are constantly then comparing, oh my God, they've done X, Y, and Z, and I'm still here, you know? So I find that dynamic quite difficult because I'm surrounded by incredibly successful people, specifically in e-commerce. And I love to have that exposure. People would pay money for that. But I'm constantly comparing my journey to theirs.
Honestly, I completely resonate with it. You always want to be that 1% better every day.
100%.
And you always want to be 1% of the people you surround yourself by. But when you're coming to market, I completely resonate with it. And it's something you have to be like, no, we're going at my pace, you're going at your pace, we're all going to get there. Stop competing. As long as you've got a roof over your head, you're making great memories, enjoy the process is what I say. Because see your lows, see the bits that you're like, fuck, what have I done? They're the bits that you're going to have the most gratitude, I think, for when you look back. Sometimes you kind of forget the highs because you generally work towards something. I know personally so much, like I need this, I need it, and you get it, and the high's there for 2 seconds, and then you forget about it, and then it's back. But the ones where you were hitting rock bottom or your more stressful times, those are the ones that I always resonate with. When I hit that target, I'm like, oh my God, look how far I've came, and then it's like, we go again.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
Exactly. Actually, it's interesting. I was told the other day that VCs and investors generally will look for second-time founders because they know that they've been through it once and they've gone through the highs but also the lows, and they've built that resilience and they've learned those lessons that you can only learn by failing. You can only learn by going through it and hitting rock bottom, and it feels awful. It feels it's really, really hard. And I think at the time it can feel like there's literally no coming back, and like, how the hell do I get myself out of this situation? Especially when you were on a path that you thought was going to be it, which was in my case. That's what happened. I was running my agency and I had all these amazing clients and my team and my office, and I was living my perceived dream, but I was so miserable. I felt like I was really shackled to the UK, firstly, to my office. You know, the irony of building a business for freedom and then actually just becoming a slave to it, because that's kind of what happens if you don't do it properly. But also, I ran it with my ex-partner.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we were 50-50 on it.
That must have been difficult.
It was impossible. I mean, inevitably, we had to walk away from the business because we were 50-50, and we broke up a year before we ended up closing the business because for whatever personal reasons, the relationship didn't work, but we were still, at the end of the day, parents of this company that we had to prioritize. But you just cannot build a successful business when the people at the top are not solid in their unity. And so that, we felt the repercussions of that pretty quickly.
I can imagine. And just to step back a few steps, is this the business that you came back from Australia and you
started?
Yeah. Okay, so
that's my baby.
Let's go back there. So the agency that you set up with your boyfriend. Tell us about it. Well,
I actually, yes and no. I mean, I ran it for a year on my own first, had 100%, set it up, was like, this is what I'm going to do.
Right.
Got our first client, we made like 17K last year.
But do you know what? It's small steps.
Do you know what, Hannah? I was like, this pays. I was 22.
Yeah.
I was like, this covers my rent. Which I was splitting with my partner at the time, and it gives me just a little bit of money to live off. Amazing. Like the fact that I can start something with very little experience and make money, that was incredible to me.
Exactly.
So I made 17 grand. And then basically built up pipelines, landed our biggest client, who were a agency called Gleam, which were the biggest talent agency in the UK at the time.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So you would take the talent from this agency and you would say to them, a bit like, is it, I can never, like Jess Hunt that's done Rufai.
Exactly.
So they come out, they put a name to a face and a brand. So this is what your company used to do.
Exactly what we did.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's exactly that.
Right, okay.
And landed Gleam, who gave us 2 massive influencers, 3 million plus each.
Wow.
At the same time, I'd been persistent with the agency that managed Maya Jama, but I didn't actually seek out to work with her.
Yeah.
She was a bit smaller at the time, not as well known as she is or is today or was when we ended up working with her. And I ended up sending, I think it was like 25 emails to the CEO of this massive talent agency. Like, who did I think I was? Like,
but it's
please can you work with me? Like, I just want to show you my pitch. Let me come in. I just want 10 minutes of your time. Can we just grab a coffee? Like, one email every week, chipping away. And eventually she was like, fine. Like, okay, I've got 10 minutes. Come for a coffee. Anyway, I guess she liked me. And I ended up winning Maya. And so these things all started to happen really quickly, and I was like, oh God, I need help. Like, I can't do this on my own. And so that's when he came in and we kind of joined forces. And to be honest, it worked really, really well for the first 3.5 years. So I don't regret a thing. And, you know, credit to everyone involved in that business. Every single person was fundamental to the growth of it. Wouldn't change a thing. But it was really hard. It was really hard being in business with your partner. Like, I would never do it again. To be honest.
Do you know what? I'm from a family business, and I can tell you it's hard. Like, when you operate a family business, I can only imagine it's with someone that you aren't actually married to them yet. So it's completely different. You actually know, you've probably known that guy, 3-4 years, a year before you probably got in business.
A year.
Which is crazy. Whereas our family business, it was like my grandparents that started it, it's been passed down. We all know each other, but I can tell you, the fights that stem off that.
Oh, it's hellish,
and it doesn't go home. I couldn't think of anything worse, to be honest, than now going into business with a partner. I'd maybe do like a business that isn't so hands-on, we invest in it together, or he maybe heads it. If I had a partner, I put money into it, but I don't think I could personally, unless I was married to them, had children, like, right, we are set, we can do this.
It's the same with me.
I
was married, now I wouldn't take investment, I wouldn't give investment. I just, I feel like
it's hard.
It's really high risk.
And that's a really good lesson you've learned. Like, that's not, many people would never came through that. So you're probably good in the future. You'll probably go into investing in other people's business. That type of advice you can give people is second to none, because you've been through it and not many people have. So that business ended. You split apart. Is that when you moved to Dubai?
No. So about a year later, I moved to Dubai.
What did you do after you finished that business?
I was so scrambled. Because when you start something at like 21, 22, you grow up. I grew up with that business. By the time we closed, I was 28, I think. 28.
So like
it was my formative years. I lived and breathed that business. It was me. I was it. And then when it closed, I didn't. Sounds quite over. I just didn't know who I was. I was like, what am I without that business? Like, what have I got to work towards, to strive for, to kind of wake up for every single day, which sounds very dramatic, but when you remove such a core pillar from somebody's life, I just felt really, really lost. So all I knew was that I needed to start something again. Like there was just no other option. I did not want to go and work for someone else. That for me, honestly, it's not failure, but for me, it felt like it would be. It felt like it would have been a regression.
Yeah. I resonate with that completely now, and I think I would always really struggle. I'm really lucky with the business I'm worked within and partnered with here, Strada, because I have that full freedom, but I don't think I could ever go back to someone telling me 100% what they're doing. Exactly. I like the fact they support me, but I think now I've always run businesses or led businesses that I resonate with that. I think anyone does, and I think you have to be a weirdo to set up a business, because the stress that we go through, stress that we love and we crave, it's like we like to be in challenge. Yeah, we don't want that turn off.
It's like a guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
And it's like a weird kink, I guess. I don't know. It's literally like, it feels great to be scared. Yeah, genuinely. Like, I don't know. And you're right, you have to be a certain type of weirdo to want that constant instability in your life. Yeah. But for me, I wouldn't know what it's like to not have it now. I've grown so accustomed to instability, but also I feed off that. Like I kind of need that. I don't know. Maybe I should talk to my therapist about that.
Honestly, I am the same though. I'm like, my sister sometimes says to me, I'll call her up, like basically crying, mental breakdown. She's like, just get a job. And I'm like, no, genuinely. There's nothing, like, there's nothing worse.
My mum said that when I closed elementary. She was like, why don't you just go and work for someone else? Why don't you go? I was like, no. There's trying to tell an entrepreneur to just go and work for someone else. It's the worst thing you can do.
It's like a kick in the gut.
It's like, it was what I needed to hear to be like, absolutely not. Yeah. I need to start something new.
And do you know what? I think you've probably went into your second business with so many more tools, contacts, and everything. So from your supply chain, which was like, you had your job, you kind of seen that as like a university, but like I would call that, to then having this partnership, this business that you've been able to grow at the same time as Instagram and everything was growing, which is pinnacle to now what you've been able to create. You've then closed that, taken a year out, probably sorted your head out, spoken to a few therapists. What did you do?
I started my own brand. Yeah. Is what I did.
And this is
Cloth Project. It's a jewellery brand. So
all the gorgeous jewellery that she's wearing, by the way, guys.
Coming away from beauty for a few reasons. Number one, I mean, very kind of nitty-gritty reasons. The MOQs in beauty are a lot higher than jewellery. They're heavier to ship. They're more expensive to ship. It's generally it's a much more expensive endeavour to get a beauty brand to market, even with just one product, than it is a jewellery brand. I knew, to be honest, Cloth Project came about when I sat in a cafe, and I was probably at my lowest in terms of mental health, coming out of elementary, not knowing what I was going to do. And I just kind of had this, I don't know, calling to just start creating, putting these images together. And it was just a mood board. I didn't know what the mood board was for, if it was going to be for a brand, or just I liked the combination of these certain images together. And it was kind of like, I don't know, I just felt like I knew this was going to start forming something, and that's how it started. And I didn't do anything with it for a couple of months, and then I actually showed my now partner, and he was like, this is cool, like you need to do something with this. I historically always co-found businesses, so I didn't want to launch something on my own. Even though I'd come out of elementary with a war chest of skills and experience and tools that I can use to create more businesses and more brands, the way I work is I need to soundboard. I need second opinions. Yeah. I thrive off like communication and team building and all that kind of stuff. So I sought out a business partner, Sasha, who's ex-Monica Vinader, ex-Charlotte Tilbury.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So all in marketing.
How did you find her?
LinkedIn.
See, everyone used LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, yeah. I don't use LinkedIn, and I need to use it more. But it was kind of serendipitous because I was looking for someone like Sasha. I knew exactly the type of person I needed in terms of skill set, and I knew the kind of person I wanted in terms of culturally and personality-wise. And then literally, I opened my LinkedIn feed, and she had just written a post that went viral about taking the leap from full-time employment to freelance. Wow. And I was like, oh my God, I need to contact this girl. Yeah. So I messaged her and I said, hey, you don't know me. We had a mutual connection. You don't know me, but this is what I do, this is what I've done, and this is what I want to do. Are you interested in starting a brand? And she was like, actually, yeah, I've been looking and thinking about starting my own brand for ages. I've just not known who to do it with or, where to start.
It's like your stars aligned.
100%. And I think it's that, the point there is, I knew exactly what I needed in a business partner, because I'd done the research, I'd done the prep, I'd exhausted myself in trying to really understand, like, what are my weaknesses now in e-commerce, because I still had and have weaknesses. Like, just because you've been in the space for many, many years, it doesn't mean that you're good at every single element, right, of your sector.
Every sector, I personally think, is always ever growing. When you leave university, your degree is actually only valid for 2 years before they say, well, you need to get a master's or you need to have experience. Yeah. So how can that be the same with if you're in a marketing industry or within e-commerce or within sales? Everything always changes. The pillars change, economic factors change. So I do always think, whenever someone says they're an expert, they can be an expert within something, but they're always know they're learning, they're always going, speak to anyone successful, they're always the people that I will see at the conferences, at the educational things, buying books from each other. Everyone that wants to be the best is always learning.
100%. And I think as well, it's important to plug the gaps of, you know, when you're building businesses, you need, and this is where I went wrong in my first business, I think. We were hiring junior staff, people who weren't as experienced as we were. I mean, I wasn't even that experienced. I was like 23.
Yeah.
But we were still hiring more junior staff. That was an error. I think you should, if you can, hire people who are far better at your job than you are. And if you haven't got the capital to do that, give them equity, get them on board from day one, because they are going to make or break your business. And so I knew when starting whatever new business I was then going to go on to do, I knew it had to be big, it had to be sustainable, and it had to be something I was in for the long term. And that's exactly 100%. What this is. And Sasha brings a corporate understanding that I have never had and will never have.
You just like complement each other. Yeah. I mean, I'm telling you one thing, you're very passionate about it. You always wear your own jewellery, which I really love to see. I hate when people are in stuff but they don't see the vision, and it's something I actually always ask entrepreneurs. I've got my vision, you've got your vision, but how do you get all the people underneath you or around you to get within your vision? And I can tell you right now, I personally think you'll always get it because you always wear the jewellery. So every single person that sees you will probably be like, where's your jewellery from? You're like, yeah, it's mine.
Just a really good question. Do you know my biggest inspiration when I was thinking about what to do next is I would look at brands or founders like George Heaton from Represent and Cole Buxton from Cole Buxton, Johnny Wilson from Cole Buxton, and other females as well. But I'll be honest, it was those guys that I was looking at in terms of brand and founder hunger. And I was like, I want that. I want something that I live and breathe, that is my own brand, that I can give my entire DNA, my vision to, that isn't on behalf of like an influencer or a celebrity or someone else that's not me, because that's their brand, that's not mine. And the only way to do that is to create products that you really, really believe in. That's the only way to do it.
100%.
And so I just think, by virtue of creating amazing products and amazing brands, people buy into that vision.
100%. And I think this is where a lot of people go wrong, especially within like the e-commerce space, within the crypto space, all these new and up and coming. People chase the wave. This is how I always say it. Same with off-plan investments in Dubai. I see it all the time. People will see, or their friends will be like, I've made this much and I sold this. So then people will chase onto it about 6 months later, 8 months later, even a year, for something that worked for someone a year ago or 6 months ago. And I'm like, you have to understand, you have to be passionate, you have to have the vision, or you have to be first in line to make the most money. If you're chasing what someone else has, or you're copying what someone else has, it isn't authentic, it's not going to work, and you're not going to see the highest returns. And honestly, it works in every area, as I said. People always chase a wave, and then that's the people that always lose the money and then go, no, it doesn't work, they're scammers, they're this. No, you were just too busy copying someone else rather than being authentic to yourself, or listening to advice of people that are the experts saying this is what to invest in, this is what to follow, set up a business within your passion, and that's the reason they're the ones that become successful.
Exactly. And it's like, if you don't believe in your product, how do you expect anyone else to?
Legit.
It's just the first step. Like, fine, you hear it all the time, do what you love, but you hear it all the time for a reason.
Genuinely.
Because it works.
Genuinely. People think it's cheesy, but it's the reason things work. So this is how you got into Cloth Project. Cloth Project's still in London.
And Cloth Project's a baby. It's only 7 months old.
Oh, really?
But we're hitting milestones every day at the moment. So
amazing.
And this is my point, is that what we're achieving in 5 months took me 5 years before. But you just,
it's all about learning.
It's rinse, repeat, kind of tweak, edit, go again. And your efficiency and your productivity and your scale and growth gets quicker and quicker and quicker.
100%. And that's the thing, I think always people forget, they always see people running before they walk, and then the people that fail want to run before they walk. How do you have to learn? You always have to take the baby steps. That 17,000 all those years ago, you were being like, whoa, I got my first deal. Now you're probably making that sometimes a month. And then you're like,
exactly.
This is what you need to do. You need to have these baby steps, which people forget. And then when you moved to Dubai.
So we launched Cloth Project in August last year, 2023. We're now obviously, April 2024. I moved to Dubai in October last year. I moved here for lots of different reasons. I'm lucky enough to have been able to get sponsorship here through my stepdad's business. He has a company here. So that was the first reason. My boyfriend is also here. That's another big reason for me. But after so many years of being in London, well, not so many years, but enough time to, I was saying earlier how I felt just shackled to my desk. After coming out of that, I just felt this like huge sense of liberation and freedom to move. And so I was like, you know what, sod it, I'm going to leave and I'm going to move to Dubai. I'm going to give it a go. Because a few things were lining up in order for me to come here. So I just did it. And being remote, running an ecom business, I don't know, I thought it'd be really simple, that transition. And don't get me wrong, it's not been impossible, but there have been things that have cropped up for me that I completely didn't even think about.
We were speaking about it before. Number one, TikTok, your social media platforms. Your network is obviously within the UK. Well, sorry, not your network, your avatar of client that you're selling to right now, because it's not over here. Tell them, because I understand it, because it's hard.
So Cloth Project's a UK registered business. All of our customers are in the UK except for like 5% who are currently in the US. My business partner's in the UK. Our brand DNA is London-centric. Like, it's a UK brand. So I moved to Dubai, didn't think it would be an issue at all because the brand is outward-facing. Of course. No one needs to know where I live. However, I can't post on TikTok, which is something I've literally just realised, in the last month. I can't post on TikTok from the UAE on behalf of a UK
brand
registered TikTok account because it knows I'm in the UAE, so it restricts the reach, which is really frustrating. Because I'm like, we need to grow on TikTok. It's the next kind of step for us in terms of a new sales channel. TikTok Shop is absolutely huge. Every single fulfillment center, because we've just moved into fulfillment center, we were doing all of our picking and packing and order fulfillment in-house, and we've now scaled to a point where we need to get that into a warehouse.
That's so exciting in itself.
And every single person, I spoke to like 15 different fulfillment centers to get the best cost, the cheapest cost, because I don't want to spend loads of money on fulfillment. Everyone was like, so how's your TikTok shop? TikTok shop, TikTok shop. And I'm thinking, oh my God, we need to get on TikTok shop. But I can't do it.
Would it not work with even a VPN?
It doesn't work with a VPN.
Really?
Yeah, I tried that. I tried a VPN. Crazy. So now, and this is ridiculous, I'm getting my sister to log into our Cloth Project TikTok account from the UK and post the content. It's the only way it works. So if I post from Dubai, it literally, the views are 0. It doesn't even show one person.
That's wild. And you know, it's really interesting for people that are growing their businesses over here. I'm sure your business, Cloth Project, will grow to Dubai soon. It'll definitely be this network. But right now, it's something people have to think about when they're moving to Dubai, is these small, minor things that we don't normally think about, because we think everyone's got access to the internet. It's just one of these things.
Well, there are other, it incurs costs. For example, sampling costs. I have to get 2 of everything made. And pay shipping costs to Dubai and pay shipping costs to London. So Sash gets samples and I get samples to Dubai. Little things like that. I can't be hands-on with the stock because all the stock goes to the UK. So there are these are minor factors. They're operational. I do think they're important though, and they're frustrations that I experience day to day. The biggest frustration for me, I think though, and inhibitor, is the fact that my business partner is in the UK and I'm here. Because the best days, the most productive days, and our best ideas come from when we are sat together, face to face, sharing that energy, that whatever bouncing you want to call it, creative flow. And I think it's a really interesting topic, because many people will argue for remote working, even if you are both in the UK or you have a team of 60 people in the UK, which I know brands that do that, and they all work remote, and it works. But for me, especially I think when you're starting something,
Yeah.
it's really important to be face to face. So that's a massive learning that I've
100%.
that I've learned.
I do think that's why a lot of companies now are going hybrid though. A lot of people are scrapping the remote working.
Yeah.
Some people are going full time, but some people have now got so many employees, have scaled so fast that they don't actually have enough like space within their offices. So they do this like hybrid that they'll maybe have a few touch points a week or meetings and whatnot. But I'm completely like you. I think the best time I learn stuff is I'm a very visual listener.
Yeah.
That's how I learn. I'm not a reader, I'm not a writer, scrap that. But when I'm with people and we're speaking about, let's say, upcoming projects, changes in rules, stuff that's happening in Dubai, I bounce off people when we're having a conversation. If I read it, it legit goes in, scans, and I forget about it within 5 days. So I think it really depends the type of people. And I always sit, when I speak to people in businesses moving to Dubai especially, I always say to them, like, how do you usually hire? Because I personally have to hire people on personality, not always skill set. If I can sit with someone and I can get them on board with the vision. So I hired someone from marketing recently and I showed them my vision board and I was like, this is what I want. He got it straight away, and I spoke to 7 other marketers before, and he was the least skilled, which was crazy, but he understood where it was going. And I always say you can always teach, and I used to do it back in the UK when I used to hire people for working on bars and whatnot. You can always teach. They can never have a drink in their life, but if you get on with them personally, your communication is key. You'll be much better, flow faster, work better together than if I hire someone that we don't get on well, but he's really good at shit hot at sales. Well, if we don't get on well, our personalities clash, how are we going to do a sale together? Because we're going to be arguing with people or arguing with each other or not agreeing or agreeing to disagree. It's not going to bring a good positive energy to the working. It's not going to make things flow as fast. So I completely get what you're saying when it comes to sitting bouncing off each other.
Yeah, and I think you need to be, when hiring, you need to be hiring people who respect you for the work that's already been put in.
Yeah.
And I think to a certain extent see you as a bit of an inspiration, because that for them it gives them something to aspire to and 100%. Something to believe in human form, who's leading them as well.
Yeah,
they've got to believe in the leader, otherwise you're not a good leader.
Legit.
So I think that's really important. But also I learned this in my first job. All the girls used to complain about the salaries that we were on. I mean, I would even complain about it.
Yeah.
They were really badly paid. It was like a supplier in Leicestershire. I mean, it was a lovely company and great experience, but everyone would complain about salaries. I think that's pretty common.
Yeah.
And the founder would drive in his Ferrari and like blah, 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 blah.
Else.
And everyone would complain and say, you know, what gives him the right, blah, blah, blah. And I'd get on board with that narrative. Fast forward 10 years, and I'm thinking, well, what gives him the right is the fact that he's grafted and he's built this company from the ground up.
Legit.
And I think that's a really important thing to remember. And so that's kind of one side to the coin. But in order to offset the negative narrative of what gives them the right, you've got to be inspiring to your 100%. Hires.
And I think as well, what gives him the right is people forget, if you're working for someone, you can turn off at 5 o'clock. If you own the business, you live, breathe it. Your friends probably get sick about it because all you do is speak about it. You do not turn off. Even when you're on holiday or you're checking your phone, that gives him the right. If he wants to have a minor car, it should be inspiring to you that you're probably in a business that's generating that much money, that there's growth for you within the business to make more money, but also take your hat off to him because he's got a business that he is driving that car. He's able to give this new lifestyle to him and his family, and probably you if you want to work for it. And I always get so frustrated. See people that go, right, I want this, but they'll turn their phone off at 5 o'clock. You're asking for a reply. They're out partying at the weekend. I'm a party girl. I love it. But I tell you right now, if someone calls me or tells me to be there, I will be there. If I've had 2 hours sleep or 10 hours sleep, you have to show up. You have to be there for you. And I think people always, as going back to it, people want to run before they walk and they don't want to put the work in. They just want it to be there. It's crazy. Now you're in the space, going back to Dubai, getting off topic. Now you're in the space of Dubai. You live here. Obviously, we've said it's an Ecomm's a bit of a bros club. I know a lot of them. They all meet on Twitter and Switch and all these
Discord.
Genuinely them all, which I think is great. I love it. Again, it's something that's double Dutch to me. What's been the major benefits? Because you've actually set up this amazing e-commerce girls club, which I'm a part of. Coffees, breakfast, amazing for network. You've been able to build that just from being in Dubai and London. That just shows the amount of girls and guys, I guess, over here that are within this industry.
Yeah, exactly. I think not just over here, but globally. But here in Dubai, I mean, I think one of the reasons that I also co-founded that, because that was, again, serendipitous. Lucy, my co-founder, I bumped into in White City in London. Yeah. She and I were introduced through our network, so my boyfriend and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, we were introduced, and we both shared the same pain point in that, are we the only girls in this space? In fact, I was like, oh my God, you're another girl like me. Yeah. This is the first time I've met someone else like you. This is amazing. Like, let's be friends. And then we were just chatting and, I don't know, like, just spitballing. And I think I said, it would be amazing if we had more girls like us in a group, because there's obviously a need for it. We've just never met them. Yeah, and so we set up this online community, which just started off as a WhatsApp group. We put on our Instagram stories, if there are any girls in e-commerce, D2C marketing, who just want to be part of this WhatsApp group, can you just let us know? We had 60 members within 24 hours, which was pretty cool. And then it's just grown and grown and grown. We're about to launch a membership fee, so members will get loads of perks, discounts to ticketed events, brands, products, etc., etc. But it's really cheap. It's like $4.99 a month.
That's so cheap.
And the only reason we're doing it is to cover costs, because obviously it's born into a business, an unplanned business, and any business has overhead. So in order to continue it on, we need to just charge a very modest membership fee, which everyone's been fine about.
Yeah, $4.99. But do you know the thing is, the fact that you've been able to build a network just shows how much you can leverage off your network is your net worth. And you even having that $4.99 and everyone will be happy to pay it. If anyone's struggling, they then tap into that network. If anyone's got a new product launching, guys, can you test this out? Can you give me some feedback? That's where it all comes from. And I think so many young entrepreneurs, they like to do it themselves. They don't want to ask for help. And the best thing you can ask is reaching out to people within their network, building a network, building something that you can go and ask and reach out and help and resonate with people, because being an entrepreneur is bloody lonely.
Yeah, it's really lonely.
So lonely, and a lot of people don't get it. As I said, you have to be weird, you have to want this challenge. So being able to build networks with people that you can resonate with, you can ask for help, you can help when you're launching something, is the biggest tool, and you will be able to use that for the rest of your life. Even if you decide to sell a cloth project, start up another one, and you will always have that network to be able to bounce back on, jump on and be like, guys, I'm doing this, can you help find an investor for this, blah blah blah. That's going to be your biggest tool.
I mean, we have a WhatsApp group, as I mentioned, and it is alive every single day, because it's just free advice, it's free value now for $4.99 a month, but look, God, if someone came to me with this tool 10 years ago and was like, for $4.99 a month, you get access to industry experts, all basically on a live chat, a live feed. You can ask any question across your entire discipline, and our average response rate is about 10 minutes, that you'll get your reply or a resource or a piece of advice or someone that can help. I would have absolutely jumped at the chance. And that's the whole point. You're right, your network is your net worth. But if you are kind of starting out in your career and you've just not built that up yet, where do you start? And that's the whole point of Ecomm Girls Club, because we've been in industry for 10 plus years. My network is my IP, it's my black book, it's my value. But it's taken me 10 years to accumulate that. And so for the girls who are just starting and still need that expertise and that help, this is exactly what Ecomm Girls Club was built to do.
Honestly, it's just what people need to... I think people forget to just do the basics, Google it.
Yeah.
That's where you're going to find Ecomm Girls Club.
Just do the work.
Yeah, that's if you're moving to Dubai, Brits in Dubai, ATB.
Yes.
There's so many stuff that people can just Google and then they'll find it. I think
as well, when you're moving to Dubai, there's so much that you don't know, right?
100%.
So the importance of that community is even more so, because it's going to help you, just mitigate any unknowns.
100%. And I think especially so many people now are really focusing on building communities, whether it be within Ecomm Girls Club, whether it be moving to Dubai, whether it be to be wellness. People love that community feel now, and people are really leveraging off it. I would say in the last, probably been around for years, but I really noticed it within the last 1 or 2 years, people are now loving a community, whether it be for running, whether it be for anything.
How many run clubs have you seen start in the last week?
No, genuinely, for dating, for community, but people just want that feel of they're a part of something.
Exactly.
And I especially think, see, when you move country, it's lonely, you might not know anyone. Having a community that's within your industry or within something that you're interested in can make it feel at home really fast. You can find friends fast. You can, even if you're awkward someone there will be awkward with you, and they'll speak with you, and they'll resonate with you. And I think that's the biggest tool I always say to people: join everything, speak to everyone, and be a yes person. Because if you say no, even if you don't want to, you can miss an opportunity of a lifetime. And Dubai is at the foremost for bringing opportunities to people without even thinking. The amount of millionaires and billionaires and business owners and creative people within such a small vicinity. Like, this road here is the main road of Dubai. That's after that is basically it's done. After you've driven 45, it's crazy.
It's on your doorstep, isn't
Genuinely, it? It's such a weird. It's a great place, but it's such a weird how small it is that so many people are here.
Like a little microcosm.
Genuinely, I always say yes, because you never know who you're going to meet, or who's going to provide you with the next job, the next opportunity, the next business idea. And people miss out by just saying no or being lazy or being like, I want to go get drunk.
Yeah, and exactly. I think that there's probably this misconception about Dubai as well, and the people that are here, in that, like, it's a big party city, everybody who comes here just lives that way of life. Like, how do I find my people? And don't get me wrong, we all like to go out and have a good time, but I think when you're serious about your business and about business generally, you really need to be seeking out like-minded individuals to surround yourself with. Not necessarily people who are even in business, but people who just think a certain way.
100%.
And these communities are a tool to enable people to do that.
Legit. I shared something on my Instagram last night because it was something about dreams. Let me get this.
Hannah loves a quote.
Yeah, it was a quote, and it was basically said, you can't talk life goals around people you don't have the same hunger as you, or it'll just look like you're bragging.
I saw you post that.
Genuinely.
I saw you post that. Yes,
and I was
it.
like, that to me resonates with me so much, because sometimes when it comes to friends, whether it comes to dating, I generally feel a bit of an outcast because I honestly think I can shoot for the stars. I have got this mad hunger that sometimes I'm like, I'm just going to say, even if it sounds so out of there, I'll get there somehow. Whether it be like around the block 100 times before I shoot up, I'll do it because I want it so badly. And I really say now, I've been in Dubai 3.5 years, it's taken me 2.5 years to get friends that have got the same hunger, the same want. They all own businesses, and we can all have a conversation, and everyone's like, yeah, I get it, it'll be fine, you can do it, and we all believe in each other. Whereas before, and other people I've probably met, they'd have been like, you're a bloody weirdo. That's not going to happen. Whereas now I think, being around people and having those friends, you have to believe in yourself fundamentally, but see, when curveballs get thrown at you, sometimes you're like, shit, what am I doing? This isn't going to happen. You need the people around you that are also achieving the stars, that want the stars, that are like, you can do it. We've done it. We got there. Look at what happened to me. Look at where I came from.
I think a healthy dose of delusion is really important.
Yeah.
And you need to be surrounded by people who also have healthy doses of delusion. Genuinely. Then you're all a little bit delusional together.
the Delulu crew. How delusional can we all be? But generally, Dubai, the amount of people especially I've spoken to on the podcast so far, they'll say the same. They reach for the stars. If Elon Musk can send someone to space, we can do anything.
Exactly.
You just have to be delusional, and you have to have the vision and live and breathe it. And I have this thing with people that I hate when people say, I'm going to do it, and then you never hear about it again. They never see it. I'm like, well, if you say you're going to do it, it's something. Just do it. Even if it fails, at least you've got the lesson. Do not be scared if it fails. Do not be scared if you have to be like, it's not worth my time. The business in Dubai is not growing. I'm actually spending too much time in Dubai. It's not working. Take a minute, say no, we can't do it right now, we can always come back to it. But at least you tried. You'll have learned something within that failure, within that risk, at least you tried. You'll never regret something that you tried. That's what I've always been told.
I completely agree.
Genuinely. So, last question to finish this off. What would you say has been the best and biggest learning curve since being to Dubai? What has happened?
Schedule. Has been my biggest learning and the hardest thing for me to get right since moving to Dubai, because I have been working on a UK time zone forever, and I'm most productive in the mornings, and obviously in Dubai for a lot of the time of the season that I'm here over the winter, we're 4 hours ahead, and so the UK comes online at 1 p.m. I think. And so for me, it's been learning how to carve out my schedule and be very disciplined in that. I still work to UK hours because I run an ecom business that's online, and the business itself is UK based. So I start work at 9 and I finish work officially at like 5, 6. And then whatever, I'll be on my laptop in the evening. But it took me 6 months to understand that, to get that right. Because before I was working to Dubai times UK time zones, but in Dubai.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't start working until midday. And everyone's like, oh, it's so nice just to have your mornings. And then you start work at midday. Does not work for me.
Yeah.
So that for me, in terms of like practical application, has been a massive learning in order to be more productive. Mm-hmm. And then, I don't know. I think, again, the people thing, surrounding yourself with people who are like-minded, who have similar goals to you, because it's very easy to get distracted here. There's something going on all the time. Every weekend there's a party. So say yes, but also know what to say no to.
100%.
And just stay disciplined, stay focused, and also just have good balance though.
Yeah.
You know, don't get caught up in any one narrative.
Jenna, I think a lot of people now, especially within Dubai, we're even seeing developments of these properties coming, is wellness. So many people now are focusing to get healthy from the inside out. Healthy mind, healthy body, healthy practice. Whereas I think before it was a lot of the time when COVID it was touched upon, then we all forgot about it. But I think people are going back to that 10,000 steps a day, manifesting, meditation, sound healing, breathing, everyone. And I'm seeing so many companies, so many people coming here and really, really pushing for it because they're seeing the benefits within their business. Yeah. In a place that we don't stop. This road is busy all day. Everyone in Dubai does not stop. Genuinely, all day, all night. This is what I call the city that doesn't sleep. But I think here it's really hard to turn off. And now they're really pushing for, especially entrepreneurs, is focusing on the inside. Because if you're happy inside, if you're mentally strong, you can achieve anything. As soon as you have a mental block, the creativity stops, your work stops, and you're just are a hamster wheel that's you can't get out. You're like catching for a breath. And that's when I think a lot of people in Dubai really, really struggle. I know I said that was the last question, but I've got one more question. If any girl was to go into e-commerce, what part of advice you would give them? How do they get into it?
Pick a product that you live, breathe, use every day, wear, love, adore, just something you are so passionate about, is rule number one. Make sure you've got enough capital to support the launch and capital in the bank to sustain growth, whether that's on paid media or influencer gifting. And this doesn't need to be a huge amount of money. It can be sub 5k.
Oh, really? That
little? Sterling.
Really? So about 25,000 dirhams?
Yes.
And then that will cover...
We launched Cloth Project with £2,000.
Really?
Yeah. We put £1,000 into stock and £1,000 into paid media.
And that's like your paid ads, Instagram ads?
Yep.
Okay. I thought it'd be much more than that.
No.
As little as that.
If we were launching a beauty brand, we'd need about 50k sterling.
Okay, I thought that.
So that's kind of gives you an idea about the difference in terms of capital startup costs.
I feel like that's just information people need.
Yeah.
Because people don't understand what you need.
And this is the thing. I have to caveat this with a lot of the skills and expertise that if you've never done it before, you won't have and you would need to pay for. Yeah. Sasha and I have, so we don't need to pay for it. So we literally, at the moment, we do everything ourselves. That's product development, supply chain, operationally, finance, content creation.
But that's your 10 years into that industry.
10 years, right?
Expert.
But I guess my point is, it can be done. And if you're going to do it, make sure you have advisors and mentors and people around you that you trust who have done it to give you advice. I mean, I sat down with our friend Tori. She won't mind me saying this. No. For an hour and a half the other day, just giving her advice because she wants to start something. Yeah. Obviously, I'm not going to charge her for that. But
of course.
The amount of knowledge that she's taken away from that, I've just saved her a retainer of £4,000 a month by paying someone else that she was going to pay to do a very menial job that she can 100% do herself. And it's just sometimes you just need someone to tell you that and to believe in you and say, this is how you do it.
I always say to people, speak to 10 people, speak to 5 people, never just take the first one. I could have taken the first marketing person and it wouldn't have resonated. It took me 7 interviews. Even when people come to me for business setup, I'm like, there's my cost. I don't mind you going speaking to everyone and we can come back and review it. But I think people, the best thing, as you've said, is speak to everyone, review what matches with you. And do you do a type of course or something that people come speak to you?
No, I don't.
You should definitely get onto that.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like so many people.
I don't know if I want to be a course seller.
No, but do you know what?
I know, I take your point though.
No, but I didn't realise even how much experience you have, and the fact that people can come to you and like ask you. And for stuff now, people really want to get onto this e-commerce, starting brands, whether it be drop shipping or whatnot else. I'm sure that you'll be able to give so much advice, and I know you love giving it for free, but I'm sure you'll be able to give so much advice, or even put a course together that would really help people.
Start an e-com brand.
Yeah, genuinely really help people. And I think now more than ever, people want to have this secondary income or something that an ecom brand can really, really build. And if you only need as little as £2,000 or 10,000 dirhams to start an eco brand, I'm sure people would love to have an infographics that hopefully one day I'll be able to send them to you to be like, well, speak to Yasmine because she'll be able to help.
The one thing I would say, last point, my brother, bless him, he's started an ecom brand as well. He's seen what we're up to and he's like, that's cool, I want it. He's like 25 and it's a sweets business and it's really cool actually. I'm proud of him. But he said something to me that I didn't like. He said, I just want to start something because I just want something on the side to make some money. It's okay to start like that, but if you're going to start anything, you have to do it with the intention of it becoming the thing.
Huge.
I don't know if size is necessarily the factor, but like your thing, your whole thing, right? Because it's never going to grow. You're not going to give it the opportunity to grow to a big enough size to give you passive income if you're not all in as soon as you can be, because obviously you can't just start all in if you've got a job and you need to pay your bills. But that mindset piece I think is really, really key. So that I'd also say that to anyone looking to start something is if you want this to be successful and pay you money, you've got to be starting with the intention to jump into it full time as soon as you can. 100%.
And I do resonate with that a lot. I think a lot of people think it's easy, chuck money to something, it'll work. I think you have to put in the hours, you have to put in the dedication, you have to be passionate about it, that it is hope, that you can jump into it. And even if it is a side thing to begin with, I always say to people, do not go into something 100% unless there's money getting made from it. I'd personally done it, but I didn't mean to do it. It just happened and it was fine. But Jesus Christ, I went through some lows and some highs and it was hard. But if you can, I always say to people, do your job at the side, put your weekends, put your nights, put everything into it and then be able to completely resonate with it. Because I think a lot of people think as long as they spend money and it's fine, they're going to make a passive income. No one makes money putting no effort in.
No, exactly.
Legit. Well, thank you so much for coming. This was such a great conversation.
You're so welcome.
But yeah, thank you very much and hopefully we'll get your course out soon.
Watch this space.